Shalom Israel. All praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And there's no God beside them. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for being faithful witnesses to the Rakah Kodash, the Holy Spirit. Salutations to the elect whom the Lord hath given ears to hear. And this is an update from biometric update.com. Malaysia to integrate 95% of public services with mydigitalID by 2030. The Malaysian government is moving to have more public and private sector services integrated with the country's mydigitalID as part of the strategy to expand adoption. So as we get closer unto their agenda, notice that less things will be offered to you outside of a digital aspect of it, and that's the motto. That's what this NWO entails for each and every individual, is that they will be connected into the Internet of Things. They themselves being connected by the Internet of Bodies. Okay? And this is the integration process, the digital IDs. All right? It's pretty much a registration for this new world, or to enter into this new world. In a recent report by local outlet The Star, Digital Gobind Singh Dio said some of the next services and lines for integration are passport applications as well as wedding and death certificates. And if you look at what's happening throughout the world, that's being pushed, especially in lieu of a lot of these migrant killings. It was actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was an attack on a Jewish outing, I guess, over there in Australia. They were celebrating Hanukkah, and they said a father and son, supposedly be of ISIS, had carried out an attack. All right, so this is something that you're going to see more and more as they're pushing for digital inclusion. This is other services program for integration next year, including payments for government services, police summons, some local council operations, tourism, public housing, and social protection services. Already, telecommunication services are being integrated with the ID, requiring SIM cards, for example, to be activated using mydigitalID. All right, and damn near everyone and their mother uses some sort of telecommunication. We all have cell phones, and we all need to use the internet. It says we all feel that we need to use the internet. The minister said while the mydigitalID adoption is not compulsory, it is essential for facilitating access to a wide gamut of services provided by both government and the private sector. In line with this, he said the government is working to make the system secure and convenient to render it attractive for adoption. According to Dio, close to 6.4 million people have already registered for mydigitalID, with an average of 50,000 new registrants. The national goal is for 95% of all federal government services to be fully online by 2030. This cannot be achieved if citizens rely on multiple logins or physical verification. All right, and I've noticed even here in the States how every app I get on, they push me to sign up with the biometrics ID, i.e. my fingerprint. Okay? And on my job, they're doing that now. You know, they're switching over. Before you would just sign in. Now you swipe. Afterwards, you know, they push the swipe thing. You know, they were saying, you know, people are going to get in trouble and get reprimanded for not swiping. And now they're pushing, you know, the swiping with the fingerprint. Right? And of course, they push the fact of pretty much we have to know who's who. But it says without the need to have multiple usernames and passports to log into different government services anymore, the government says access to services will become faster and more secure as identity theft incidents will reduce. My Digital ID is a decentralized digital ID system which the Malaysian government is relying on as the foundation, all right, the beginning, all right, for its ongoing digital transformation. And best believe this is not just in Malaysia, this is all across the world. This will be, if not, you know, all across the world. The government has set a target to get 50 million people enrolled by the end of this year, right? By the end of this year, it's 2026. So they're saying by 2030, all right? So 2028, possibly 2029. And we see how fast this year went. So that's pretty much a blink of an eye. Okay? Revelation 12 and 12 is on the table. Revelation 13 and 16 is not too far after. Now it says, this cannot be achieved if citizens rely. Okay, we read that. My Digital ID is a decentralized digital system which the Malaysian government is relying on. Okay, we read that. Launched in 2023, the My Digital ID was met with a mix of challenges, but the situation is gradually changing thanks to an awareness field campaign that was led by a PR and marketing agency hired for that purpose. The campaign, according to the outlet, set out to reverse the low awareness of what a digital ID is, fear and misinformation, and the lack of full trust in the system. Okay? But as it goes, you know, pretty much this is going to keep pushing it in your face. And ultimately, you're going to have to comply. Right? They're going to update these, you know, the software for these phones to where you cannot use your phone without using biometrics ID. All right? Because that's where everything is going. And that's not the mark of the beast. However, it is a precursor to, again, the registration to the NWO, i.e., the scriptures call it the image of the beast. And then the icing on the cake, if you will, is the mark of the beast. When the mark of the beast is that you have to physically get something inserted in you, right, to prove that you are a law-abiding registered citizen. So, you know, I looked it up on the chat. It says, My Digital ID is in Malaysia's national digital ID system. And while it does not directly control the currency, it can indirectly affect Malaysia's economy and the ringgit through financial efficiency, trust, and policy implementation. All right. So it says it is designed to authenticate citizens for government services, enable secure digital transactions, reduce fraud and identity theft, support Malaysia's digital economy strategy. And it says it is not a digital currency, a replacement for cash. Okay? Because I had asked it, what is Malaysia's My Digital ID and how does it affect the Malaysian currency? So it says, how digital ID connects to money and banking. Although indirect, My Digital ID affects the financial system in several ways. easy to know your customer checks, faster account opening, more secure online banking. This lowers transaction costs and improves financial inclusion. Now it says strong identity verification reduces financial scams, money laundering, and fake accounts. And that's, it's been going around a lot these days. And it's quite a coincidence if you ask me, but I digress. But essentially that's what you're going to be told. All right? And I'm sure if you look in the past, they'll say the same thing about cards and cards with chips. All right? But look how we are today, still getting scammed, still getting hacked. But apparently, if you use your biometrics ID, if you use, a specific ID, then it leads to a more stable financial system. All right? I forgot who said. I was watching, I forgot what brothers was saying that, but pretty much brothers was saying how this place is a big scam. It might have been the brothers out there in Memphis. Like I said, I can't exactly remember who was saying it. But yeah, this place is a huge scam. And the devil is ruling. Whereas he's known as a thief, which cometh to steal. But it says, all right, so they pretty much kind of reiterate the fact that this mydigitalID equals lower fraud, which is financial stability. And it says, oh, okay. Is this linked to a digital currency in the future? Potentially, but separately. mydigitalID could be used if Malaysia later introduces a digital ringgit for wholesale or retail use. Identity systems are often a prerequisite, not the currency itself. So mydigitalID equals infrastructure. And then as I mentioned before, other globally, they're implementing their personal digital IDs. So then I asked the chat, if countries are saying digital IDs are safer and more efficient, is it possible that will say the same? They will say the same thing about digital money. And that was before I had noticed. So I didn't read, the whole answer and what chat had gave me about it potentially being linked to future digital currencies. All right. Nevertheless, it tells me that yes, not only is it possible, it is very likely. Governments and central banks are already using the same argument for digital money that they use for digital IDs. Below is a clear evidence-based explanation without speculation or hype. It says, historically, governments introduce major systems in stages. First is identity. Second is payments, right? We need safer, faster transaction. And then third being integration. All right. Efficiency requires linking the two. Digital ID comes first because money systems rely on identity. All right. So it's a gradualistic thing. Okay. And I was looking up. Let's see what else they said. So I want to read through. I was going to tell you, brothers and sisters, look it up for yourself. But I also notice how, like, say I'll type this in, get this answer today, and then tomorrow I'll type the same question in and get a different answer. I mean, I'll get this answer today, and then tomorrow I'll get a different answer using the same question. So it says the exact argument will be reused. Right? So here it is. This devil understands. He understands the people. He understands what their apprehensions might be and how to work around it. It says the exact argument will be reused, reduce fraud and crime, more efficient services, voluntary at first, protect privacy, optional adoption, more secure than cash. All right. So it's a various buzzwords used to get you to trust the devil, essentially. This is from a state perspective. Digital money offers total transaction visibility, faster tax collection, direct stimulus distribution, better enforcement of sanctions, reduced cash economy. This is why central banks worldwide are studying or piloting CBDCs. It says wallets can be verified. All right, so I mean it pretty much kind of reiterates the same argument over and over that that's being pushed. Let's read the summary. Just as government framed digital IDs as safer and more efficient, they're already framing digital money the same way, because digital identity is the foundation that makes digital currency possible. Okay? And I was looking up bear with me. Let's see. Yeah, why is Malaysia important to the global economy? Because if let's say certain countries are reluctant to get on board, if another country that's not so that's already on board and pushing digital IDs, and digital currencies, what's going to happen is that reluctant country has to get on board, because they have to still feed their people. They still have to survive. In trade and commerce. They still have to trade. They still have to, need various goods from these other countries. So since Malaysia is important to the global economy because it sits at the crossroads of trade, supplies critical industrial inputs, and is deeply integrated into global manufacturing and energy markets. Here are the key reasons clearly explained. So it says control of a global trade choke point. Malaysia borders the Strait of Malacca, one of the world's most important shipping lanes. 30 to 40% of global trade and much of the world's oil and I think that's liquid natural gas pass through it. It connects East Asia, Middle East, and Europe. Any disruption here would ripple through global supply chains. Okay, it says Malaysia is a top global player in electronics manufacturing services. Major role in chip assembly, testing, and packaging. All right. And again, to get this NWO pushed, get the people connected to the Internet of Things, you need these chips, which means you need to do business with Malaysia. All right. Which means if Malaysia pushes, that we're only accepting, digital currencies. All right. Then guess what? You want to play ball, you're going to come up with a digital currency. All right. Or pay the price. This is why it matters. Even if chips are designed elsewhere, many are finished in Malaysia. Okay. So, hey, the great, I guess, yeah, it'd be the great bottleneck or the great squeeze will happen. Okay. Like I said, you can play hardball and stand out if you want, but this is coming to this is coming to an economy near you. And this is not the RFID chip, so we may have, well, not we may, but we will have to comply. But most importantly, what we cannot comply with, or what we cannot receive, is the mark of the beast. That's where we draw the line. Okay? That's where we say, that we rather die than bow down to what this devil wants to push, which is complete and utter control. All right? And we know what happens to those that are under his control. They're miserable. Right? And the scriptures say, those that receive that image, the mark, pretty much they're going to be tormented. All right? So that was pretty much it. Hey, stay prayed up and keep on your watch. Like Yahweh Shah said. Yahweh Shah said, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. And one thing, I like to meditate on is that we should hold on loosely. All right? Like Yahweh Shah said, using the world and yet not abusing it. Let me look that verse up real quick. Then I'm going to head out. Right, so it says, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. Right, because in that word abusing, it says to use much or excessively or ill. It says to use up, consume by use, to use fully. And we cannot use this world fully. What I mean by that is that we cannot go all the way to what this devil is setting up. All right, because we know Revelation 14:9 that those that did that, what's going to happen to them? Revelation chapter 14, verse 9. All right, and this is paired up with Revelation 13:16. All right, because all will be charged or enforced. All will be tempted to receive that mark. You will not be able to buy nor sell save he that had the chip in his right hand on his forehead, essentially in your body. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark. All right, so again, just to bring it all home, if you worship this system, then you're going to receive the registration to continue to be a part of this system, i.e. the mark of the beast. It says, and his forehead on his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture, to the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Revelation 15:1. And I saw another angel, another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled the wrath of God. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten a victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark. You see, so the deciding factor between those that will get destroyed and those that won't is what? that mark, the image, all right, and us the mark, all right. You're gonna have to make that decision, and over the number of his name, and stand on a sea of glass, having the harps of God. And that word victory goes into conquer, to carry off victorious. And this is Revelation 16 and 1. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image. Right? So, this is the third time that the Lord is speaking on destruction upon those that had the mark of the beast. And mind you, it didn't say in his right hand or his forehead. It just said those that had the mark of the beast. So even if you put it in your foot, guess what? You're going to receive a grievous sore, which is essentially a cancerous sore. Something inside that chip is going to hurt you. Right? The word grievous meaning going down in a physical sense, disease or blind. It says Strong's definition from a derivative of hurtful, G4192. Great trouble, intense pain. Let's keep going. Hurtful, that is evil, properly in effect of influence, and thus differing from G2556, which refers rather to essential character. Okay, that would be kakos. As well as G4, which indicates, figuratively calamitous, also passively ill, that is disease, but especially morally culpable, that is derelict, vicious, vociferous. Look up these words. All right, it says deserving blame, that is derelict, meaning in a very poor condition as a result of disuse and neglect. Whoo! Shamefully negligent of one's duties or obligations. All right. So you're going to be in A, 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter. Those that consent unto them shall be had in derision. You're going to be hurt. Hey, just ask, if you know what happened based off that 2020 situation, you wouldn't want to trust anything this devil has to offer. Anything this devil wants you to put inside it, you wouldn't want to trust. And I'll just leave it at that. Because hey, them people from the 2020 situation got hurt. Some of them is sleeping right now. It says neuter, derelict, vicious, vociferous, neuter, mischief, malice, guilt. It says bad, singular, the devil, bad, evil, grievous, harm, lewd, malicious, wicked. Oh, see also more evil. Right? So man, you got a lot coming to you if you take that MOTB. And that's why we have to constantly keep going into these scriptures. Right? Remember, the fear of the Lord is our treasure. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of that time, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. So it's not just about wisdom and knowledge, because you can know better and still do wrong. But it's the fear of the Lord that brings it all home. So if that, shalom to the elect.